Wow, would you look at that? As soon as I get started, this guy pops in, is ready to go. Hold on, I'll give you a minute. I'll give you a minute. I'll give you a minute. Look at you. No, you're good.
I don't need a fucking minute. I'm
You
ready.
don't need a minute. I see. It looks like you're fucking dusting your shelf over there. You got all kinds of things going on. What's up? What? Not that I don't like it. What's up with the backwards hat? You don't usually rock a backwards hat, or do you?
Dude, I need a haircut really bad. I need a haircut really bad.
Whoa, Greg, that's a lot of hair.
Yeah, man.
Jeez.
So whatever. I'll go this week.
You act like you don't have any free time. What's going on?
It's tough to sneak away, but got on for the stream today. I could have gotten a haircut today, and I'm on. So
are you able to? Are you going to schedule a haircut?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you can, even though you have like.
Dude, we have fucking Newbor's pictures set up like in a week, so I got to get a haircut before then.
Oh, you got to get the Newborn pictures. You got to look good. Are you still able to go on runs?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I mean, it's demanding. It's just like you like someone's gonna have eyes on it at all times, or
Yeah.
it'll just fucking kill itself. So that's basically. I'm not joking. Like it'll just like find a blanket and like
Very
out
PG way to
post
put
it,
it.
yeah.
It'll kill.
So but yeah, I mean, other than that, good. It's just like splitting it up, figuring it out. Fucking lot of coffee, man.
A lot of coffee.
Because
You
like
already drink
the kid
a
is
lot of coffee.
fucking, the kid's starving at 1 a.m. Starving. So like that's my shift. So I come out and I just fucking like it just hammers bottles, and then he just looks at me like, "That's all you got? Like go get another one." And I'm like, "All right, well, fuck, okay." Like
So how many cups of coffee a day?
probably 5.
5?
Well, I make a pot with that has 6 cups, and Ashley's like weaning back on, so she's probably having like a cup and a half. And I'm done with the rest of it now. Like this is what, yeah. I mean, I guess it's 11, so it's not that bad.
All right, so you woke up at 1 a.m., you fed the baby. Did you go back to sleep?
Yeah. So woke up at 1, was up from 1 to like 3, back to sleep, and then back up at 6.
Okay. Damn.
It's just like it constantly has to eat tiny meals. It's fucking so frustrating. Like we should just give it like a fillet and be like, "You're good till next Tuesday."
Or just set like a hot bar out for it, you know what I mean? Come
Yeah,
and go as you
exactly,
please.
dude. Big bowl of food, big bowl of water, like a dog.
Do you remember? I bet the chat would enjoy this story. By the way, a bunch of nice congrats, Greg and W New Dad in the chat. I just want
Yeah,
to make sure you see that.
appreciate it, guys.
Steak cannot be on today. He's traveling to South Florida. He's got to go to a black tie wedding. And Steak actually asked me, do you have to wear a tie to a black tie wedding? Which I begrudgingly had to tell him yes.
You have to wear a bow tie.
You don't have to wear a bow tie.
Yes, you do. That's black tie.
No.
Black tie is bow tie. Google what black tie is.
Can you just Google it?
Yeah, I know. I don't need to Google it. I know. I'm telling you, black tie is bow tie. It's tuxedo.
Okay, yes. But it has to be a bow tie?
Who wears a fucking tie with a tuxedo?
Why don't they call it black bow tie then?
What are you talking about? Black tie insinuates tuxedo.
It's a black bow tie, or it's a black tie wedding. Why not call it black bow tie wedding?
Black tie, dude, because they're fucking aristocrats. They're not white trash. They realize that you don't have to say exactly what we're wearing.
Was your wedding black tie?
No.
Good, because you're not an asshole.
It was Brooklyn formal.
I know, I remember that. My pants were really tight, and I had to tell everybody because people actually asked me, "What's Brooklyn formal?" I said, "You have to wear really tight pants." I have a bone to pick with black tie wedding people, and I'm sure there's somebody in the chat that does this. I get the reason behind it because you probably have aunts and uncles and cousins from the sticks who are coming to your wedding, and you need to let them know, hey, you can't wear jeans and a polo. So you say black tie. But listen, you know what that does? It fucks it up for the rest of us. I've had to go and rent a tuxedo for a wedding. And I know people say, just buy one. I'm not buying a tuxedo to wear it twice in my fucking life for 2 assholes black tie weddings. So that's my gripe. It's not that if you don't know that it's bow tie or actual tie, it's whoever's implementing it to begin with.
Yeah, no one's gonna. Let me be clear. Like, no one's going to give you a dirty look if you wear a like pretty classic suit and tie to a black tie wedding. But like a black tie insinuates tuxedo, bow tie, like all across the board.
Yeah. By the way, this was funny. Somebody asked, what boar are we reviewing? And forgot the D in the board. And somebody followed up on that. Are we doing some wild pig analysis? Hovey, great call with DiVincenzo last night, by the way. And great, it can double as a Halloween costume. Not a bad idea. Not a tuxedo can double as a Halloween costume. How many times can you be James Bond?
You be James Bond. Yeah, James Bond.
What was I going to tell? I was going to tell a story. Oh, my first hot bar experience. Do you remember that story in New York when I was visiting in Times Square with my dad?
Oh, I was like, what the fuck's a hot bar?
And we were at a bar in Times Square. I'll never forget. It was called Playwright. It was an Irish bar, and it was a phenomenal experience. I remember the playlist was so good. I asked the bartender. It was playing on a little iPod back in the day. I was like, can you please like email me this playlist or whatever because it's so good. Anyways, that never happened. But I was hungry, so I ran out of the bar in the middle of Times Square, and I just saw like this little deli, and I was like, all right. So I walked in, and in the middle of it, it was a hot bar. It was like, spoons, like a buffet, and you just go in, you take a plastic or a styrofoam tray, and you put stuff on. I just thought in my brain it was like a flat rate. Flat rate. Maybe it's like
$12.99
tray, load it up. I fucking got the tray, and there's an Asian section, there's freaking Spanish section.
It's
I'm
tough,
getting,
dude, because it all looks good when it's hot and under the lights.
and you're drunk. And I may put everything you think of in there. Plantains. I was putting freaking some mashed potatoes, all the heavy shit too. And I get up there, and the guy I put it on. He takes it and he puts it on the scale, and he just starts hysterically laughing. And he couldn't speak up much English, but he was like, "You hungry boy, you hungry boy." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He shows me a fucking thing. It was $37, $37 for a tray of food. And what am I going to do? I can't go put it back.
You can't unmix it. Yeah.
You commit. And I mean, at the time, I don't know.
You truly thought it was like $15, as much food as I can fit in this box.
Legitimately thought that. How am I supposed to know?
Yeah,
I'm just a little boy from Orlando, Florida. And I'll tell you what, $37 was a lot of money at the time. So I was, hey, that's lesson learned. All right. That's how you learn things. All right. 11:27. I think we can go for a solid hour, if that's okay with you. And I think we did send the newsletter out. If you haven't subscribed, please feel free to do so. I'll put the website in here, thedegenerateweekly.com, for free. Always, Greg handles the majority of the workload for the newsletter, which is much appreciated. And our NFL record has been stellar this season. Stellar. 42 and 23 and 1, I think, on the year, up like 15 units. We've never done this well in the NFL since we've been doing the newsletter. I think it's year 3 now. However, on the flip side, it can't be perfect. Not a great college season. I think we are down. Oh, what happened? W Fat Girls Bang. Oh, I got to get the Twitter or the Twitch stream up. Appreciate the bangs. Yep. So hold on. Let me close this. Newsletter's out, and what we're going to do is we're going to recap W Fat Girls. I'm getting the mainframe up right now. Hold on one second. I got to be able to give thanks at least early. I'm getting a new laptop. All right, people. By the way, I really appreciate everybody who's slid into my DMs and given me some advice on laptops and Mac versus PC and all this stuff. Greg, you're a Mac guy, aren't you?
I'm both, actually, because my personal is a Mac, but then work, I've always had like the typical whatever fucking Lenovo ThinkPad,
like an Acer.
Yeah, and not an Acer, like a little bit better than that, but like a just generic PC.
Sorry, that's the laptop.
I like Mac's user interface. Like, Mac is easier to use, but if you're doing corp shit, a regular PC is way better.
Okay, fine, fair enough.
Where you have to like save stuff and put stuff as a PDF and email it back out and blah blah. Like,
right. Okay, hold on, I'm getting up. Fat Girls 10-unit sub banger. Appreciate you, Fat Girls. What got into you this morning? That must have hit a nice.
You probably had Seahawks.
Probably had Seahawks 2-unit play. Hey, how about that system? How about that trend? Are we on to something?
Looks good. I like it.
Are we on to something? A little Asus. I don't know what that means. Unbuttoned dress shirt with the backwards snapback is a vibe. People like your look today, Greg. Actually, I will admit, you look kind of cool today.
You look good. I mean, it's just like not leaving the apartment, so just get fucking comfortable.
Yep. Okay. Right. Hold on one second. Okay, here we go. Hype Train, Travis, Geary Gaming, new follow. iTorres 9010, new follow. Hill Daddy with a sub bank. Total Slayer with a sub bank. 14 months. 14 months for Slayer. 12 months for Hill Daddy. W's appreciated. Oh, I rated Forensic Tilt yesterday, and he gave a shout out. W. All right, cool. Let's get into it. So what does that say? Do a kickflip right now. Very funny. Have you ever tried to skateboard, by the way? I tried to get into it.
Yeah, I did too, in like elementary school. This is when I lived in Georgia, and we had a really steep driveway, and my only goal was to go down the driveway without falling. And once I did that, I was like, I'm good. I'm not going to do any tricks. Like, it was like, oh, this is how you do an all-in. I was like, I'm not going to fucking ever do that.
I was, by the way, Bert with a sub bang. Bert, it's good to have you back in here. Nice parlay that you hit last night too. We were feasting on the ice. I was a big rollerblader for a while, and a kid that lived in my neighborhood was he was like Tim the Tool Man. He would build like little half pipes and shit and ramps.
Yeah.
Dude, have you ever tried to drop down a half pipe?
No.
It's terrifying.
I've looked at it and gotten scared before, but I've never actually done it.
It's terrifying. And then I told myself there were 2 things I really wanted to learn how to do. Well, 3, but I eliminated surfing because I'm too scared of going that far out into the ocean. I don't fuck with the ocean. I mean, I get in the ocean, but I don't really go too far out. So skateboarding and playing the guitar. I wish I knew how to do one of the 2.
Yeah, guitar's probably got more utility these days.
I took lessons, but it's really hard. You have to build calluses on your fingers, and you have to play the guitar like every day for 30 minutes. And I think after day 3, I forgot, and I was like, all right, I'm never going to build these calluses on my fingers. But I do like playing the air guitar. It's very fun. All right,
What
chopped
is a
cheese.
chop? Everybody's making fun of me. I forget what it actually is.
Okay, so your guess was a haircut or what?
A sandwich.
A sandwich, which is actually a good guess. It is half weed, or I don't know if it's half. I don't know if it's 50-50. Weed and
Oh, like a
tobacco
spliff in a bong. Yeah,
in a
yeah, yeah.
bong.
Got it.
Doesn't that sound terrible?
Do you remember the? I think this is from like one of the Broken Lizard movies, like Super
I'm
Troopers or
talking about when
something.
I was younger, dick face. Somebody said skateboarding in your mid-30s ain't it, my guy. I'm not talking now. I'm not getting going
um,
to pay medical bills. Go ahead.
but do you remember? It was like a maybe beer fest thing, but it was you take a rip of a bong and then you drink a shot and then you chug a beer and then you exhale. Do you remember what that was? I think
No,
it was
but
from Beer Fest, but I remember doing that a couple times, and that, whew,
you guys used to do that in Florida when I visited. I remembered it was
yeah,
called something. Chili
yeah. I
Willy?
forget what it
No.
was. Strikeout, yeah, strikeout, yeah.
Oh, strikeout. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's get into it.
Knockout, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Nobody knows anything. Somebody's going to throw another word in there. You're going to say, oh, yeah, that's what it is. All right, we got 130 people in here. W. Clam Mucker with a sub bang. Love it. Vibes are pretty high. Great day on the board review yesterday. By the way, W. Javon having me on Behind the Lines. Would love
Oh,
to
nice.
join today as well. Unfortunately, got to be pretty corp. All good. We got a lot discussed yesterday, and we did very well. The reads in college basketball were great. Hockey were great. NBA. Shout out to all you guys. Brinks with the Hornets. Outright loved it. Hovey. Fat Girls, the
Damn.
NBA props were phenomenal. Love the Garden. Had a great time last night. Michael, Greg knows Michael. Michael
Yeah.
took me to the Knicks game. We had a very good time. And Michael, he just wanted me to let everybody know he won 50 units last night in his fucking his parlays that he did. He had a bunch of random shit in there, and the last one that he needed to cash was like Dak 3 touchdown passes, and he got it, which was awesome. Although I will give Michael this. He told me, and it's not his fault, it's my fault, but he said RJ Barrett plays well every time I'm in the stadium. So I nuked RJ Barrett and not Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson could not miss. And the one thing I will say about this, I chirped Killian Hayes. I saw the Pistons play the Magic last year in Orlando. I thought Killian Hayes was one of the worst basketball players I ever saw in real life. I chirped him. This motherfucker scored 18 points last night. So maybe he heard the chatter and now he is cracked out. So be careful. Lawyer doesn't need any more units. Can you ask him to adopt me? He's Timothy. Brunson could not miss. I love Jalen Brunson. All right, let's get into it. No office today, no shared screen. Sorry, I'm late. Helicorp, as you can see in the banner, so don't ask any questions. If it's your first time tuning in, this is not the original or the standard format, but bear with us. We'll make it happen. Greg, I want to talk college football first.
Ooh, okay.
And if you read the newsletter, you saw there's one play in there. There's one play, and it's all Greg. Now,
I'll take all the accountability.
Yep, and that's okay. That's okay because listen, at the end of the day, who am I to talk Greg off of a play? Because I handle more of the college football stuff. Me and Steak do because Greg isn't the biggest college football guy, but our season has not been very good, so we're not reading the board that well. So if Greg has a play he feels strongly about, I'm not going to tell him that he can't put it in there. Steak and I were chatting, and at the end of the day, with these with these conference championships, there's nothing that we felt confident enough in putting in the newsletter. And honestly, I don't even know if I'm going to make a wager. The only thing, and I tweeted about this, is this Oregon game is starting to give me weird vibes, and I think I want to take Washington, which we'll talk about in a second. Before we do, I'm going to bring the board up. We got a hype train level 4 W's. So I'm going to bring the board up here. And Greg, do you want to start with Louisville, or do you want to kind of go game by game in order of what it's how it's being played?
Because I don't think we need to go through every game. Like, do we need to talk about Michigan minus 22? Do we need to talk about Texas minus 15? So I think let's just pick the spots.
I think we should just touch on it for a second, like a second.
Yeah, sure.
All right, Liberty and New Mexico State. Did you say you like something in this game? I don't know that
State does. State does it, and I'm going to tail it. Let me get his tweet up. He texted up this morning.
I thought he was talking about college basketball. I thought he was talking about.
It was definitely no.
New Mexico State beat Auburn. You're right.
Early morning thoughts.
You're right. You're right.
New Mexico State beat Auburn outright, then beat Jacksonville State University. Now they're plus 11 against a very solid Liberty team, and I could see them being trendy dogs. Give me Liberty minus 11 or give me death.
That was very good. Yeah, W Steak.
Quote, who said that?
Herbie Hancock.
No, I forgot to.
John Adams.
Maybe. Patrick Henry.
Oh, no, it's not. Patrick Henry?
Yeah.
Flavor Flav. Okay. Liberty, New Mexico. That's the read on that. I like Steak's thoughts on it. I honestly thought he was talking about college basketball, so I'm not going to act like I'm too dialed in. But makes sense to me. New Mexico State could very well be a trendy dog. Seems like a lot of points. It's just Liberty is still 12-0. Is this a home game? I know most are playing on neutral.
I don't think so. I have no idea, though, in all honesty.
Paul Revere. That's another.
I don't even know where Liberty is. So
yeah, I don't either. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about the game of the night, Washington and Oregon. So I think, look, at the end of the day, if you bet like we bet, and you've probably followed us for maybe a year and a half at most. Last season, college football was very, very good. And these types of plays, in my opinion, in my experience, were cashing, where you would read the line and it would basically kind of tell you the story. So the fact that Oregon is a 9.5-point favorite on a neutral against Washington, undefeated Washington, who already lost to Washington once, I think screams Oregon's going to crush them. Now, here's the thing. This season so far, reading these lines and trying to bet like that has not really been coming through. Maybe in certain spots, like the most recent one I can remember was Clemson. Clemson was like, why is Clemson only +3 to Notre Dame? And they went outright. And then there was like another one too where they were -7 to somebody. That's the only one I can really remember.
South Carolina just last weekend.
South Carolina is another good one, right? So Washington's +9.5. They are 4-6 ATS in their last 10, which obviously is not great in terms of covering the spread. But they haven't looked that good. They've been playing teams really, really close. And I think for whatever reason, the odds makers and even pro bettors really aren't respecting Washington that much. So if you look at what they've done, and again, apologies, I'm not sharing my screen right now, but I'm looking at their recent performances. They were 16-point favorite against Washington State. They only won by 3. So they won by 3. Then they played Oregon State. They won by 2. And they played Utah. They won by 7. So that's 3 games in a row. They didn't win. They failed to win by more than 1 possession. Then at USC, they were kind of back and forth in that game, ended up winning by 10. At Stanford, 42-33. And Arizona State, 15-7. Those are all the games and performances since beating Oregon. And we had Oregon. I had it +3, not 3.5. Oh, no, I got +3.5, but we had +3 in the newsletter, unfortunately. Transparency and honesty. It counted as a push on our record the first time they played. And I thought Oregon looked like a really, really good team. And even at times they deserved to win. I wish I could watch the second half. Unfortunately, I had to go to dinner with you. No, I'm just kidding. We had a great time. But I think that this is a game that I think I'm going to sit on the sideline of. But I'm starting to kind of pivot on how I usually bet, given how this year has been. And props to Parlay Safari. He kind of tweeted about it and called it out earlier in the week or last week, and he's been doing very well. I'm leaning Washington. I don't know that I'm going to get there, but I am leaning Washington. I think it's the not overthink it play with the value and the points. If Penix is hurt, maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. I'm not going to act like I'm a doctor. Where do you stand on this game? And by the way, the total, I haven't mentioned it, is 60.
I think this is the exact same total as the first matchup.
And I played the under. I don't know if you did too.
I did too. I played the first half under and the under, and they both lost.
Yep. Dilly Dill is saying, bro, what happened? Did I misspeak or say anything wrong? Rest or neutral. Oh, okay. Okay, Greg, where do you stand with this game, and do you have a wager in it?
Yeah, I'm not playing it, but I do have I agree with everything you said of like typically this is a play that we're 10 times out of 10 on Oregon. This one just seems a little too obvious. And also I have a Washington to win the Pac-12 ticket. So I'm just going to like cross my fingers and hope I get ridiculously lucky. The other thing that you brought up ahead of this that I hadn't even connected until just now was you got 2 big favorites tonight. Maybe Liberty's the one that wins big, and maybe Washington's the one that doesn't cover. That loses outright. But I mean, somebody in the chat said too, like Washington's TCU from last year, and I could absolutely see that. Like TCU just kept screwing people over who bet like we do, because they're so due to lose, and then they whatever field goal at the end, but like just all kinds of quirky things to just keep winning, and then get absolutely massacred come the playoff, which is absolutely how I would see Washington going. That's like what Washington's done every time that they've made the playoff. So I could see that happening. But again, no real action in this to me.
You can't hedge. We got Washington to win the Pac-12.
Like, yeah, what am I going to do? I can bet $300, $350 to get back my initial investment and break even. So it's like at this point I'm down. Like if Washington gets up, sure, but I don't see this game going that way.
I'm worried. Even Big Cat said this line is weird. Contrarian betting is getting way too popular. It has.
I mean, even like fucking 3 weeks ago, you saw Oregon minus 6.5, and it was like, wow, that's a lot. And then it's just like, doot.
Did not have Greg invested instead of DJ on my bingo card today. Yeah, see how it feels sometimes? And that's the whole point. Being invested in futures makes it so that you already have skin in the game, and you don't feel obligated to bet every single game. So I would personally, if I were you, I'd let it ride. I think Steak also has it. Steak was on.
He does. Steak sold me on it.
Steak sold you on it. Yep. I didn't jump in on this one. I think I stayed out of the Pac-12 entirely. I think I faded USC and I bet on Cal. No futures in that conference. But I do think Penix he's probably dead to win the Heisman. But Washington very much alive to win this game, in my opinion, even despite the spread. I would just let it ride. What I need as a Jaden Daniels Heisman ticket holder, I need Bo Nix to have a bad performance. This is the last hoorah. He's like minus 150 or minus 180 maybe to win the Heisman. And honestly, I think he's pretty deserving of it if he has a nice showing today and Oregon wins. It's unfortunate because Jaden Daniels set insane records for passing and rushing and touchdowns. DGen adding Washington to the card after 2 beers, minus 145. Coward,
right.
Coward like always, DGen. Boston Sports Store. Go look at my card last night. Thank you very much. I had 2 units on the Seahawks. POD Pete came on the stream. That was nice of him. He always gives me shit for not playing primetime games and like the Seahawks, and they came through. I have Nick 7-1 rooting against you there. That's okay. All right, let's keep moving.
Tempo pace. We have the NFL card too.
Yep. That's it for tonight. Texas, Oklahoma State. I don't have any real big thoughts there. The only thing is, I think Texas is legit. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't really trust Oklahoma State. I cannot lay that many points with Texas. I could see Oklahoma State kind of lingering. They're just Mike Gundy is a coach I respect still, even though I faded them on the season. I'm wrong about that. Do you have any thoughts on this total at 54.5?
No, I think, and this goes into my FSU play too, or my fade against FSU. I don't see a world where Texas isn't in the playoff this year. I just don't see a world where they're not in the playoff.
They're not in the playoff? Yeah, I don't really either.
Yeah, like Texas is making the playoff. I don't know what has to happen. I don't know how it shakes out. Texas is going to end up in the playoff. I don't know what their odds are, but I think it has to happen. I mean, you look, they've been such a good team this year. They're fucking a monster program. Like, you can make an argument that they're the biggest program in college football, if not at least top 5. Mm-hmm. I mean, they only lost to Oklahoma in a fucking dogfight of a game. Like, how do you not put Texas in? They beat Alabama, for Christ's sake. Like, I just think there's no way that Texas doesn't make the playoff. I have no read in this game. Maybe they murder them because they have to put up a ton of points. But I just think from that perspective, like, Texas has to be in the playoff.
Yeah, Crutchbet says, how? UGA, Michigan, FSU, either Oregon or Washington. Well, I think FSU gets fucked, sadly, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Yep, I'm with you on that one. Okay, the other game is, let's see, Toledo. We're not talking about that one. You're right, tempo and pace is important. Let's talk Alabama, Georgia, and then LSU, FSU, Louisville, and then we'll get in the NFL. My concern in this Georgia-Alabama game, if anybody is thinking about taking Alabama, is I feel like even though they're the 8th-ranked team and they're 11-1, I feel like they probably have the most hype right now out of any team in college football. Maybe Michigan, after taking care of Ohio State, would be up there. But State kind of said, or maybe it was you that kind of said, but wait, they were life and death with Auburn. as a double-digit favorite. They almost lost, so he disagrees with me. My only counter to that is the fashion in which they ended up winning. Just goes to show how much of a badass Jalen Milroe is, and I feel like everybody loves this guy, and rightfully so. I do too. I already want to take him to win the Heisman next year. He is incredible. Props to Tommy Rees. I gave him shit. Didn't think he was that good offensive coordinator. And Saban, of course, the year he gets doubted. Of course, he goes fucking 11-1 and he's in the SEC championship. Of course. But it kind of feels like nobody's really respecting Georgia. Like I keep hearing, yeah, Georgia is they're Georgia, they're undefeated, they reload, but this isn't the same Georgia type of Georgia team that we've seen in years past. It's not. We've seen better Georgia teams.
Yeah.
I feel like Carson Beck doesn't really get much respect. I don't know if Brock Bowers is coming back. I just feel like everybody's kind of overlooking the dogs here. And I don't know where the splits are. I haven't looked, but I feel like Bama might be a sneaky public dog. I lean Georgia in this one. I think Georgia wins by probably 10 points, if I had to guess.
Really?
I do.
Oh
You like
man,
it?
I think this is a perfect role for Bama to play spoiler. I'm looking at the splits right now. According to the splits, Georgia's pretty public, which makes sense to me. I mean, Alabama. What I like about Alabama is they're playing with house money. They should have lost to Auburn. They should have. They pulled that ridiculous play out of their ass. They've been playing from behind all year after that last loss to Texas. Like I just think this is a good role for Bama to play spoiler. Georgia also hasn't lost in a long time. And I think when you have years of winning, it's great. It's great. But like you're so due to get punched in the face. And really what this sort of reminds me of is going back to when I was at Florida, and Florida was an absolute wagon, and they had won it the year before and then it spilled over into the next year. And Florida was just beating the fuck out of everybody. And it goes to the SEC championship, and Bama made Tebow cry. I'm not going to go as far as to say the same thing's going to happen, but that's sort of the vibe I get in this game. I think Bama plays a spoiler here. I'm not going to touch it because I'm in a weird spot where I took Georgia to win the SEC. So I have that for a unit, but I also took Alabama in season to win the national title. So either way, I'm fucked here, or either way I win, however you want to look at it. Worst case scenario is Bama wins and then loses in the playoff, but we'll see what happens. So I'm probably not going to touch it, but I certainly lean Bama with the points there because I just think Georgia's been top dog for too long, and in college football, you don't last 2-3 seasons. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. It's hard to keep repeating. I think that I don't want to lose any more money against Jalen Milroe. So I'm not. I don't think I'm going to bet it. But if I was, I think I got to go with Georgia. The last thing I will say about this game, I'm looking at the splits, and it looks like 60-70% of the bets are on Georgia. I don't buy that personally. That's one of those things where I want that fingertip feel. I want to see. I would ask your friends. I would actually check in with your sphere and your group chats. What are people actually thinking and saying about this game and these teams? I don't know that people really trust Georgia to win by 6. Not to mention all season they weren't great ATS to begin with. So you see both sides, LOL. Yes, I do. And Greg is already invested. This is normal. This is normal thinking, by the way. Your friends say Bama. Yeah, I feel like the majority of people are going to say Bama. I think they're a sneaky, trendy dog. Go ahead, Greg. You got one more nugget or no?
No, that's really it.
Okay.
What I wanted to look up because I vividly remember this last year. I think it was either in the round of 4. It might have been in the championship game because they had nothing to talk about at the half because Georgia was already up 100 points on TCU. But I think it was like David Pollock because he's a Georgia guy, and Nick Saban was on like the dais, and Pollock was just talking about, and maybe it could have even been, it definitely was SEC championship, but. And anyway, like Pollock was just talking about how like Georgia is the fucking king now, and Alabama's time is over, and Saban's just sitting there like kind of awkwardly, like, okay, like fuck me, right? What do I say about this? We did lose. I'm not gonna like have an argument with this guy on national TV, but I think that just stuck with Saban, and for whatever reason, I think everybody sort of wrote Saban off this year, and that's where he strikes. Like,
we'll see. Should be fun. That is 4 o'clock on Saturday. All right, yeah, Iowa, Michigan. We're not going to spend too much time on it. It's hilarious that Iowa's line is, I think their point total is 7.5 in this game. Total 34.5. Michigan minus 21-22. I have zero desire to get involved in this game. Total stay away from me. Tulane's SMU, nothing for me there. I think SMU's quarterback is injured, which kind of sucks. Tulane was just minus 3.5, and I faded them at home. with UTSA. Didn't work out. I think Tulane might be that team that kind of gets right there in terms of the spread, not in terms of winning because they're 11-1. Don't want to fade Tulane on a neutral. If anything, I lean Tulane there. All right, let's talk FSU Louisville. Then
really, I kind of like SMU,
even with no quarterback. Oh, you want to buy the bad news?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I mean,
have nothing
it's
against
that bad news, but it also went from 3.5. It just went down to 3. So like,
that's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I don't know enough. I'm going to stay off of it. Tulane is a team I think I bet on 3 times and they didn't cover, and then I faded them once and then they covered. So that's just that team for me this year. I'm out.
It's a little bit personal for me with Tulane too, because I've missed them a couple times when they're in that sharp spot. Yep. And last week, was it UTSA? I had them there and Tulane got me again. So this is just like, I'm going down swinging and I'm going to get a unit back on Tulane or I'm going to lose 10. So, man, 5. But I'm fine with it.
Haglin, aren't you a New York guy? How are you a Bama fan, by the way? That's very interesting. You don't really meet many New Yorkers who are Bama fans. It's I'm curious to hear that.
It's like Bama, Yankees, Lakers. They all sort of go together for whatever reason.
Cowboys. You a Cowboys fan too? Oh, he goes there. All right. Well, that answers that. All right, let's move. Last game. This is where we disagree, and I'm curious to hear what the chat says. And I see some guy, forget the name, commenting exactly what I think 5 times. I think that, look, I respect Louisville. I came out of the gate betting on Louisville. I'll never forget that Georgia Tech backdoor. Who remembers that? Week 1. I love Jeff Brom. I'm happy to see Louisville have success. He's a coach that I root for. It's a team that, especially in a weak conference, I like to see these types of teams be competitive and give others a run for their money. They did just lose Kentucky. Big rivalry spot there. Unfortunately, I don't think we got involved. So, they're going to be pissed off. Were they in a bit of a look-ahead spot, not caring too much because regardless, they were in the ACC championship. And now you got FSU coming in, who I feel like, and I said this to Greg, I think FSU is the most disrespected team in the country right now. I think that nobody is without Jordan Travis, of course, and now this Rodemaker guy, their backup, after that terrible hit by the Gator guys.
It was 2 fucking assholes that did it.
Most undisciplined team I've ever seen in my life, year in, year out. Anyways, we'll not get on that. But I don't think anybody thinks FSU is going to get into the playoffs. I don't think anybody wants FSU to get into the playoffs. And frankly, I don't know that I do either. And it's unfortunate because you can't control that your quarterback gets hurt. You're still a really good team. But I think given how good some of these other teams are, I would prefer to see them in there because I don't think FSU with their second or third string quarterback can hang with the top 1, 2, or 3 teams in the country. Now, in the ACC championship, on a neutral field against Louisville, I think this is going to be the most pissed off, inspired team that comes to play this weekend. And I think everybody's doubting them. Everybody's writing them off. And I think Louisville is in for a world of hurt. Now, of course, if they win this game, I think they're going to win it with their defense. So it also makes me like the under. The problem is the total's gone from 53 down to 47.5 because there's speculation that quarterback for FSU is going to be their third stringer. I'm way late to the party. I may consider a Louisville team total under. I give a lot of respect. That's a bad Florida team, but I give FSU a lot of credit for going in to the Swamp at night, still a big rivalry, and taking care of business and not only winning but covering. Trey Benson put the fucking team on his back, big runs in that game, and Jared Verse was an animal. He was unstoppable in that game. I think the defense steps up. I think Louisville's in for a rough day offensively. So I don't want to fade you. The official pick is in the newsletter. Greg is at the wheel, but that is where my head lies.
Yeah, I don't blame you for anything. And to be like fully transparency, if Louisville didn't lose last week, I wouldn't be playing this. I think all the bad news you can talk about with Florida State, at the end of the day, you go up and put your ticket in on a Louisville team that just lost. I think they were at home against Kentucky. That is not impressive. They gave up, 38?
They were already in the ACC championship. They had nothing to play for.
You still get something to play for. It's a rivalry game. You're having the best season in decades. Right. Like, you can't say you had nothing to play for. And I get a hunch. So I went back and looked at Louisville's schedule. So Louisville's first loss, the next game out, they played Duke. Remember, we were on Duke that game, and Louisville shut them out and put up 23, cruised to victory. Like I just think this Louisville team has one more little bite in them. And I do think too that, not to be too tinfoil hat, but this is what I talked to you about earlier in the week. There's gonna be some plays I think that go in Louisville's favor because everything you just said. No one really wants to see FSU in there, and you can't leave a team that went 13-0 at a Power Five conference out. You just can't. You can't leave a 13-0 FSU team out. And so if FSU wins this, they absolutely have to be in. But they're in with their second, maybe third string quarterback, which is like it just an ass kicking in the making and a waste of a playoff game, and you only got 3 of them. So to me, I think Louisville gets a couple calls. It's a weird position to be to take a bet because of it, but I think Louisville gets a couple of calls because I do think the committee does not want Florida State in there for all the reasons that we said of they're just not even going to compete in the playoff. So why have a team in the playoff if they can't even compete?
If I know deep down that is the majority of your capping for this Louisville pick. I think you.
Oh, that's all of it.
Yeah, right, exactly. But it's not even so much like, oh, they just lost or anything. You think, and you're not wrong, the committee does not want to have to deal with this chaos of making this decision. So they're gonna kind of rig the game in Louisville's favor, and Louisville's gonna win so they don't have to deal with that headache.
Yeah.
I don't think FSU lets it happen. I think FSU brings the headache. They bring the migraine to the in the tough decision to the committee's table, and they win because of it. There's so much
not
motivation.
A tough decision. By the way,
yes,
it's not
it
a
is.
tough decision.
Yes, it is.
No way. No way.
You don't think it's a tough decision?
No. How can you put a one-loss team above an undefeated team just because their quarterback's hurt? If Jordan Travis wasn't hurt, it wouldn't be a discussion. And you can't bring that into to bring people
I disagree. You said just because their quarterback's hurt. It's the most important player to a team. So their team is undefeated because he played. He is now no longer part of the team. So they're not the same team.
You can't take it away from the team.
I understand now. Now that's the argument, but it's not a no-brainer in my opinion. They're not the same team without their best player at the most important position. And there's other teams that are very good.
So if Bo Nix sprains his ankle, Oregon wins by 50, Bo Nix sprains his ankle, Oregon doesn't get in because Bo Nix is hurt. No, you can't, or breaks his leg, we'll say. You can't do that shit just because of an injury. The team did everything, the resume's there, boom. You can't void a team because of an injury. And they won't.
I'm not saying they will or won't. And I think FSU, I really was starting to think FSU was so slept on. And I really wish Travis was healthy. And I had a couple people DM me talking about having FSU tickets and had a hedge. And I was like, brother, I think you're just fucked. You're just plain old fucked. That sucks. At the end of the day, I do think it would be a little bit of a bummer if FSU got in with their second or third string quarterback over what I think is a really good Texas team. I do. You don't
Texas,
think so?
Yeah. No, I don't think if Florida State wins, they are in. There's zero doubt in my mind.
Okay, but let me ask you this. Let's say Greg is in charge, and then we'll move on to the NFL. Georgia beats Bama. Michigan beats Iowa. Oregon beats Washington. Or Washington wins, whatever. The winner of that game is getting in regardless. FSU beats Louisville, and Texas beats Oklahoma State. If Greg is in charge, you're putting FSU in over Texas.
10 times out of 10, 100 times out of 100.
Okay. I disagree.
You can't leave an undefeated Power 5 conference team out. You cannot do that and put a
What if it's the weakest conference?
So what? Who cares? Like is you can make an argument that the Pac-12 is not that great. Like the
Pac-12 is the best it's arguably the best conference.
The Big 12. Sorry, Big 12.
Big 12's not that great. Big 10's also not that good either.
Yeah, the Big 10's absolutely nothing. Are you kidding me? The Big 10's absolutely nothing.
Big 10 sucks. But they have Penn State and Michigan, Ohio State. There's 3 top teams in there, but the ACC legitimately doesn't really have anybody. Clemson is awful.
Yeah. Clemson can hang with teams, but they can be also awful. They can be very bad. But anyway, we've spent enough time on it. But that's my take. I don't think there's any world in hell where a 13-0 Power 5 team gets left out and a one-loss team gets in over. Multiple one-loss teams get in over them.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Fair enough. Well, we'll see what happens.
Just because of an injury. Like that's such a bad precedent for the future. So, yeah.
I say put Notre Dame in, go Irish, baby. Why would you want that to happen as a Notre Dame fan? I want Notre Dame as far away as possible from the college football playoff every year because all they do is get their dick kicked in and they're not very good. Okay, that's good college talk. I will say I would probably play Washington, Georgia, and Eileen FSU because I think they're going to be the most pissed off team with something to prove. Greg, official pick, Louisville. What else do you like if you had to give one or two more plays?
I said I like SMU.
SMU, right?
Let me see what else is on the board here. I mean, that's really it. There's a lot of ugly stuff this weekend. Yeah, I'd say those are probably my two plays, and then I might jump on board with Washington, but probably not. And then I also really like Bama. I like the dogs this weekend, apparently. So we'll see how that goes. Absolutely not touching Michigan, Iowa. I kind of want to take Iowa team total under or just that game under. I think Michigan's just, a couple of big emotional wins with Penn State and Ohio State, and they just want to get the fuck out of there and start practicing for
just your picks, Greg. Just your picks, Greg. We got tempo and pace.
Give me that. Give me one or two
picks. I say give me one or two picks, and you start talking about a game you didn't want to talk about. All right. So
give me that Iowa under.
Iowa under. Got it. All right. Let's move.
I think Michigan got over 3 in a row.
No more Michigan talk. Falcons, Jets. Listen, I'm not going to do it, but I want to do it. I want the Jets. Do you want? Okay, I know you're not going to do it. You're smarter, more disciplined, and responsible than me. I don't know. Actually, you do some stupid stuff too. Do you want the Jets?
I had the Jets last week, and I'm just so disgusted. Like, I can't tell if they just quit that game or if they possibly quit that season. But that Hail Mary play was so ridiculous, and I don't blame the defense just being like, "Fuck you guys. We just got a pick six. This asshole missed the extra point. We can't even get an extra point from our offense. We go out there, we get another interception before the half, and then the offense goes up a pick six because they're all fucking bums. Like, what are we supposed to do? I've done everything I can for 3 months, and all I get is Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle dropping back, getting sacked, running for 4 yards. Like, I'm fucking done. So I think the Jets truly might be done. The only thing is Rodgers is out there practicing, could be a little shot of life of like, hey guys, maybe we can do something down the stretch if we win these next two.
They have to. They have to. There's no point in him coming back if they lose this game. What are they going to be? They'll be 4-8. Yeah, you're not doing any. You're not winning out. You're not going 9.
You're already pretty much fucked.
You're pretty much fucked. So you're right. That's a very good point. Somebody said they got this under at 35.5. Listen, in my opinion, this is the most obvious under on the board. Now, I say this every week. There's an obvious under, and I don't play it because those scare me. But I don't know how this game goes over. I really don't. With the way – the only thing – actually, I will say this. The only way it could go over is if the Falcons just move the ball at will because, like you said, the Jets' defense, maybe they're overrated, maybe they're not, but they may have given up after that pick six right before halftime. The Falcons' offense, I just think, could be – a bit of a nightmare for a defense that's packed it in because of how much they run the ball. Now, Desmond Ridder, on the other hand, not good on the road. I don't see him playing well in MetLife. The weather's probably going to suck. I think it's going to be cold and windy and rainy. The obvious prediction for me is Falcons 17, Jets 13, maybe, and you get under at 30. The contrarian in me that expects the unexpected is the Jets win 24-21.
The Jets are so much of a tougher team than the Falcons too. They're so much of a tougher team. So it's Jets or nothing for me. This is probably when I just sit out. There's a couple games like this where you have a pretty tough defense against a team that's pretty overrated. But again, the Falcons just came off a bye and had a nice win. Yeah. So maybe they get a little momentum back under them. They started the season hot. They went on an ugly trench. They got that bye week. Deep breath, maybe they come out. I get Falcons win totals too, so that's another reason I'm staying off of this.
Yep, smart. Money is hitting the Jets. I wanted to make that note, which is fascinating. I think it's gone from the opener of 3 down to 2, down to 1.5 at some places. Totals 33.5. All right, let's move on. By the way, I like my somebody said they're sitting on the squares table. That's fine with me. My squares table play in this game would be Bijan Robinson to do something, probably score or go over his rushing yards. Okay. Commanders, Dolphins, total 49.5. Commanders are 9.5-point dogs at home. We have the under officially in our newsletter. I got POD Pete came on yesterday, talk about NFL a little bit. It's one of his plays as well. We aligned a lot, actually.
Oh, nice. That's actually awesome.
Yep, we like it. And so we kind of already discussed it. We don't have to spend too much time on it, but if you want to just kind of cap, I liked your write-up on this. with a couple angles. I brought up Jack Del Rio being fired, which I think is a great little narrative, and backing a team after the coach is fired in some way, shape, or form has been proving to be pretty successful. So, yep, I'm going to be in on this. I believe it was 50 or 50 and a half, so we're getting a little bit low, but 49 and a half is still a number I'm happy to play. Anything that you want to touch on this one?
Yeah, the one thing, and I put this in the newsletter, so I'll just paraphrase it again, but this is from Right Angle Sports, where basically they were saying Rivera's come in, and Rivera's going to be coaching the defense, right? He's also interviewing for his job, not only for the rest of this year, but for next year. And the best way to make his shitty defense look good is to have Sam Howell slow the fuck down and keep the offense on the
The
field
Sean
longer.
McDermott special.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's exactly, and that was even thing that Right Angle Sports referenced. Like, this is exactly what McDermott did. That's what I think happens here, and I don't think the Dolphins have any problem moving the ball, but I just think it's a lot of runs, kind of ugly-ish game. It's in DC, so the weather's going to be pretty shit. I do like this under, but I don't have the balls to take the Commanders, I guess. Even though money's coming into them, it's moving down in their favor, which is kind of crazy. But that's sort of my take on this. I think it's an ugly game, and I think the under comes in. This is also the highest total of the week, so it's very not on par for us to take the under and the highest total.
Wow. That's kind of crazy.
Well, how many 50s have we seen this year? We're seeing 30s everywhere, where you're not seeing any 50s anymore.
And, I don't think it's that crazy because of how good the Dolphins offense is and how bad the Commanders defense is. So it's not – that's a good thing to bring up at least, because it's always good to check yourself before you make a bet. And that is one thing to be like, ooh, man, you're going to bet the under on the highest total. But, yep, okay, we're going to move forward like that one. Saints-Lions. The Saints have a ton of bad news. Down there 1-2
an insane amount of bad news. It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, as contrarians, we typically like to buy the bad news and bet on teams when they don't have their starters. But for me, I'm not going to get there. I'm not going to take the Saints. It would be the Lions or nothing. The Lions, in my opinion, are a squares table bet. I don't have great success with squares table bets. I also think the trend that I found, is with the teams that are coming off of a home divisional game in which they didn't cover. The Lions fit that trend. We saw the Seahawks just cover last night. Bang. I still think this game can get weird. Weird things happen in New Orleans. And Jared Goff's in a dome. I see no reason that the Lions offense shouldn't have a little bit of success. I'm not buying the Saints defense. But they're 5-6. I mean, they're still trying to play for that division. Every game matters. It's important. I think you're going to get some fight out of New Orleans. And for whatever reason, I see the Lions winning this by a field goal. So I don't feel confident enough taking the Lions with the spread. How about you?
Yeah, no play for me on this. No play. I might get cute with Kamara, because I think they're going to use the fuck out of him because they have literally nothing else. But I wouldn't even take him yards or anything like that. I'd take him receptions or attempts, just because they're literally, and that's like Derek Carr's MO. Why throw deep when I can throw to this running back behind the line of scrimmage?
They're really that square. I don't know. I'd have to imagine nobody's going to be taking.
I mean, the Lions they almost lost to the Bears, and then they got embarrassed by the Packers. So I get that, but those are both divisional games too. Another reason why I don't really want to back the Lions coming off of two tough divisional games.
Good point. They are 4-1 on the road and 4-1 ATS. The Saints, it should be mentioned, 0-4 ATS at home. Wow, that's pretty shocking. Chargers in New England, Greg. I have nothing on this game, and if you don't either, I say we skip it.
I mean, how the fuck can you get behind Brandon Staley at this point? And how the fuck it's Zappy. It's Zappy. That's kind of fun.
Zappy.
Zappy's kind of fun. Yeah, it's going to be Zappy. So maybe, but also I don't know. New England's probably just trying to get a quarterback for next year.
I think so too, and I will not get out of my head, and still nobody has taken credit for telling me this. When last week with the Patriots, is my best bet is that Patriots might be losing on purpose. Point out, I listened to Chernoff's podcast today, and Keenan Allen might be out. So obviously that would be a pretty big blow to the offense for the Chargers. Still, I don't care. A lot of points at home. Belichick, Patriots. I have no interest. It's a bad team. All right. Probably, oddly, the game of the weekend for us as bettors, because we like a lot. Cardinals and the Steelers.
Okay.
We like the total. It's my best bet. You like the Cardinals. Stake leans the Steelers. We were all over the place. Remember, he said 6 is very high for Pittsburgh.
It's crazy high.
It's crazy high, and for that reason, how it makes sense that he wants the Steelers. So let me just kind of set the stage, and then I want you to dive in on this. The Steelers, I think they were 6.5. They're down to 5.5, 4.5 even. Now, from what I've gathered on the injury front, there's a chance McBride for the Cardinals might not play, and they've got some other injury news as well that could affect them. If that's the case and they're officially out, you're probably going to see that line go back towards the Steelers. The total is up 39.5 up to 41.5. I am going to be on the over. It's my best bet. And honestly, even if they're down skill players, I can still see Kyler Murray figuring out a way to score like 14 points. I just can't. And on the flip side, what I'm really betting into here is the Steelers scoring points. They moved the ball. They got their 400 yards of offense first time in 59 games. No Matt Canada. I don't think there's a regression. If anything, I kind of just am going to compare this to hockey. The Leafs made a big line change. And after that, they only scored 2 goals. Well, they scored 1 goal, and they won 2-1 in overtime against the Panthers. The next game, they scored 4 goals and beat the Kraken. I think that first game for the Steelers, they moved the ball, but the points weren't there. 16 points against the Bengals, who are not a very good defense. Now they're at home, and as I put in the newsletter, I think they're ready to put on a show for their fans who I had written have experienced half a season of misery. Greg texted me and said, bro, half a season? Years of misery. And I was like, thank you.
It's been awful.
Great catch.
Awful,
great edit.
yeah.
They have been terrible. So I think they're going to score some points. I think this is going to be like a 28-17 kind of game. I wanted the Cardinals. They fit the system. They failed to cover as a home divisional dog last game. I wanted them, but I'm not talking to anybody off the Cardinals. If I had to make the bet, I'm going to bet the Cardinals. But I'm starting to think more and more about this line for the Steelers and seeing the spreads they've had all season. I know it's the Cardinals, but they are 2-1 ATS with no Kyler Murray. So I talked about with Pete. It is a lot of respect for the Steelers. So I'm going to stay off of a side. Over is my best bet.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers don't cover big spreads. They don't get big spreads, but they also don't cover big spreads. I said it to you and Jake. The Steelers are 0-8 since like 2019 when they're favored by more than 3 points. They just always play down to their opponents. And that's exactly what I see happening here. Like, Cardinals are going to be missing a ton of guys, so you're going to see this line go up a little bit. I'm going to wait. Hopefully I get a 6, and maybe I even buy it to 7. But the Steelers are also coming off a divisional road game at Cleveland, a divisional road game at Cincinnati, and now they're back home for which should be an easy slam dunk, biggest spread of the season win against the Cardinals. And this is going to be a map play. And on Thursday, they have the Patriots, which who cares? It's the Patriots. Belichick owned Tomlin for his entire career. You cannot tell me that Tomlin does not have this one circled on a short week. I think Pittsburgh runs the ball. I think they move the ball. I don't think they're concerned with like putting up a ton of points, putting out an offensive show, get in, get out, and get onto the game on short notice. Also, James Conner revenge game. Thank you for bringing it up. This is like textbook revenge because the Steelers just said, you're not good enough. Our run game doesn't suck because we don't have an offensive line. It sucks because of you. And we're going to get Najee Harris. And Najee is actually surprisingly having a pretty good year. But I do like James Conner in this one too.
I think Jaylen Warren. See, this is the problem. I love Jaylen Warren, but I.
How do you not?
What do you mean, like overall or just this week?
How do you not love him? Yeah.
Oh, how do you not? I said I think
he's just a fun guy. Yeah.
The only thing that scares me is I looked it up at the rankings, and the Cardinals have the second worst run defense in the NFL. And I saw that the Steelers ran the ball for 33 times for 156 yards against the Bengals. And I watched some of their clips and highlights on YouTube, and Najee was running really hard. I don't know if you saw any of the game. There was like one where he ran into like 4 yards, and he just kept running and running. It was like a 17-yard game. I like Najee, and I think I'm going to bet on Najee. That's the only problem though with these backfields is like you never know who's going to get the yards or who's going to get the touchdown. You know what? Fuck it. I'm not going to overthink it. I think it's Najee Day. I think he's going to have a good day. I like his over rushing yards. I think I'm going to snipe that. I also might even honestly I might get the Steelers team total as well and just double and triple down on it. Love it. All right, let's move on to another big game. Texans and Broncos. How are we doing on tempo and pace, by the way? We've got about 15, 20.
We're okay.
We can fly through a couple of them. Texans fit the trend as well. Failed to cover as a home dog or a home divisional team against the Jags. I like them here. I don't know that I'm going to bet them only because I don't want to fucking hear it from all the Russell Wilson truthers out there. But I do like the Texans. Greg, was this your best bet?
This is my best bet. I went back and forth on. I probably would have put Steelers in there if you didn't put Steelers team total. Not to like make an excuse if it doesn't hit, but at least I have one because I said it on the board review. But I do really like the Texans here because I think this line. This is a little bit of a line read here, and I think it's pretty telling that Vegas initially put this at 3 against the Broncos, who are the hottest team in football. And I mean, it's not like they beat shitty teams. They beat the fucking Chiefs. They beat the Packers, who are decent. They beat the Vikings, who are decent and kind of sexy with Josh Dobbs. They beat the Bills. Like all their wins were good during this win streak. It wasn't like they're doing what the Cowboys did. No offense, Cowboys fans, of like beating the Commanders and the Panthers and all these other like bottom tier programs. But during this Broncos win streak, 4 of the wins have been at home. They only had to travel once, and it was a primetime game. So I think it's the beginning of a 3-game road trip for the Broncos, and I think we've hit sort of the high water mark for the Broncos, and they start to tail back off a little bit.
Totally agree. Somebody said it, and I agree. The Stroud as a favorite is a little concerning. He's better as a dog than he is as a favorite. Totally get that. I like this to be a good defensive outing from the Texans. And on a X's and O's angle, I think I forget who said it. It was a podcast or an article, something about how the Denver Broncos run defense is not very good, and that's a good way to exploit them and attack them. I bet Jerome Ford, shout out Cam, his money. Jerome Ford over rushing yards. He got there despite the Browns not covering or really being in the game. But this could be a game where maybe the Texans try to run the ball a little bit more than they air it out. And also, if Tank Dell is not playing, that's going to be a huge blow. I heard he's kind of banged up. I'm not going to overthink it, though. I think regardless, I think the Texans are the right play, and I agree with you. And I like the under.
Yeah.
The over's moved up.
I do like the under here too, but I am going to buy the Texans to 3. That's the other thing that's weird to me is the Texans are missing an offensive lineman. Tank Dell may not play. And then is Dalton Schultz their tight end? Dalton Schultz may not play either. So it's like you have all this injury news for the Texans pending, but it's not impacting the line. And the line even went up a half a point from when it opened, which 3 to 3.5 that's a big fucking signal.
Mm-hmm. If you're given the hook with the Broncos, it's very tempting in my opinion. The trend, I tweeted it. Go check my Twitter, and now I'm also working on another trend. So stay tuned. I'm getting my fucking hands dirty.
Just figured out Excel.
I just figured out Excel. No, I told the Twitch stream, and if you have free time, you don't have kids, that's what you start doing. You make your own fucking trends. Okay, let's keep moving. Titans and Colts. Steak did it. He talked about it all week. I don't love it. Titans plus 1.5, plus 2. There's no Jonathan Taylor. I am concerned that the Colts, talked about it with Pete, are kind of going up and down after that bye week and the win against the Bucs. I have a weird feeling that they just kind of trend up a little bit more, and I do think Vrabel as a dog at home is sneaky trendy. Feels like a duping to me, but nevertheless, I don't like the Colts enough to play them. Not talking anybody off of them, so but it's probably going to be a no bet for me. Are you going to be on the Titans?
I'm going to put a half unit on there just because I like where Steak's coming from. The other thing, too, talking about the Broncos high water mark, it's really shocking if you look at the playoff picture in the AFC when you had all these teams coming in with a ton of promise. And then you look at the Colts, who have their next generation superstar quarterback hurt and are in the playoffs right now with Gardner Minshew. They've won 3 in a row, but they were all like the Bucs with Baker Mayfield, who got hurt, the Patriots in Germany. I forget the other one, maybe the Panthers. Like, they're on a 3-game win streak, but they've been really shitty teams. So I think you're getting a little bit of a duping there, just where the Colts are from a record perspective. The other thing too is the Vrabel as a home dog or Vrabel as a dog hasn't really been what it typically is this year. But I think now could be the changing of the guard, because down the stretch, oddly enough, the Titans play 4 of their last 6 games are divisional games. And I think this is where they kind of come in and be a little spoiler in that, remember, because Vrabel is just not a guy. Even if the Titans were 1-15 and it's the last game of the season, he's just an absolute psychopath where that game still means everything. Like, he doesn't give a fuck about what his draft pick is. Like, he is going out there to win every week, which I respect, and which is why they are a decent program over time, even when they don't have the talent. So I do stand with Steak on this, because the Titans typically are a little trendy, but I don't think they're that trendy anymore because they've been that bad this year.
Greg's allusions and metaphors are crisp. W. Greg. But I don't necessarily know that I agree with you that much about Vrabel with points hasn't been what they were. He is 4-0 ATS at home. But
Oh, really?
but
This year?
this year, according to covers, unless that's wrong. With that
That's
said,
impossible.
I don't know that's impossible. I mean, think about it. They beat the Falcons, they beat the Chargers, they beat the Bengals.
Huh?
So here's what I would say though. I have no problem.
Oh, they got killed by the Ravens, but yeah. Oh, that was in Germany though. Huh.
I have no
Well,
problem
okay.
following that trend. That's all I have to say about that. Okay, let's keep moving. We got a solid 10 minutes. Let's finish strong. The Panthers were going to be my best bet. We all pretty much aligned on them, I believe. We're going to buy the bad news in terms of Frank Reich getting fired, although maybe that's good news. We don't really know, but the Panthers are so bad. I don't know that anybody's really going to want them. As a Bucs fan, though, the Baker Mayfield experience was actually better than I expected, which is unfortunate because I wanted us to not be in purgatory and just tank and get a good quarterback that we can groom for the future. The division is still within reach because it's such a bad division, so maybe the Bucs are still going to play for something. However, I think it's a really tough spot for the Bucs playing in San Francisco, then playing in Indianapolis, back-to-back road games, losing in both, not covering in both, then Baker getting hurt. He looked great on that first drive in Indianapolis. I had his over passing yards. He had like 55 on the first drive, and then he gets hurt doing the fucking touch push. Wasn't the same since. Got a hurt ankle. He's been limited in practice. I think Godwin might be hurt. This might be one of those things where, you know what, I'll buy the good news if there's injuries with the Bucs. I think this is a team that morale-wise is probably on the decline, and I think the vets are probably already thinking about their vacation and know that they don't have a chance even if they do get to the playoffs. So I think that the Panthers probably hang in there in this game. Not saying they win it, but I like the 5.5 or 6, depending on what it is now. We're going to be on the Panthers against the Bucs.
Yeah, I like the Panthers here too, obviously for the coach getting fired, but the interim coach, he's a little bit of an Antonio Pierce guy, supposedly. He's a special teams guy. He was there during the Matt Rule era and somehow stuck around, but he's just like one of those psycho football guys who's just amped up, and I think he can do enough to get him fired up for one game. And the other thing too, I don't really care about losing a unit on the Panthers this year. I've been very disciplined in betting them. Looking at it going into it, we've actually only bet them 1 year in the newsletter, and it was their only win. So like kudos to us. If I go even on the Panthers this year, I'll be very happy considering they're the worst team against the spread by far. So this will likely be the last time I bet the Panthers. I like what they did with the coaching change. Supposedly Frank Reich just refused to open things up. That was a little bit of some of the like animosity in there. And like the other thing too, he was like kind of a dick, like to start the season. Yeah. JT, shout out. To start the season, it was like, all right, like I forget to get like Thomas Brown, maybe his offensive coordinator. It was like, all right, we have a bye week mid-season, so I'll call plays for the first half, and then you take over the second half, and that's how stuff will go. Frank Reich did a dog shit job calling plays in the first half. It gets to the second half. They win the first game. Granted, they only put up like 15, 16 points. They lost the second game, and Frank Reich was like, nope, I'm calling plays again. Go fuck yourself. And the whole team was like, dude, what the fuck, dude? Like, we had this whole plan, and you can't just like, nope, I get to do it because I'm the head coach. So he's kind of an asshole in that sense. So I think the team's going to rally a little bit around that firing too. Where I think Bryce Young too, that like at this point too, he hasn't run much. Get him out there and run. Who gives a fuck? Maybe he gets hurt, but he's probably not the guy anyway. So let's see what he can do if he can actually run. Like there's no point in protecting him if he's a piece of shit. Like Josh Rosen, who cares if he runs or anything like that? Like go out there, go nuts, get a concussion. Who cares?
I actually think Bryce could have a good game. And, it's just a weird thing, too. The Panthers last year when they played in Tampa, there was a Sam Darnold masterclass. I kind of just think of where we are in the season and the Bucs pass defense being what it is. And, again, the morale kind of plummeting. This is probably the perfect buy low spot for a guy like Bryce Young in this situation, in this game. So if you want to play Bryce passing yards or something, I would co-sign it. All right, let's keep moving.
Yeah. Last thing real quick though is like not to shit on Baker, but his heart's bigger than his brain, and he's going to be hurting this, and he's still going to try and give it a go because no matter what, he's just like that kind of dog mentality, which you have to respect. But at the same time, it's like, dude, your fucking ankle doesn't work, your elbow's screwed up. Just sit down so we have a chance. But he's just like, no, fuck that. I'm going to go for it. And I'm still going to run because I'm Baker. Like, kudos to him. Like, Texas tough. But if you're betting against it, I love it.
Do you remember against the Browns when he played for the Browns and the Browns were really bad and it was like, oh, Baker's got a broken rib and a lacerated shoulder and all this things. It's like he's playing tough and he's playing hurt and it's very, very admirable. It's like, but dude, he's not playing good. There was a game against the Packers. He threw like 4 interceptions where they were running the ball at will. Dumb idiot Stefanski calling pass plays. I'll never forget because I had the Browns in that game. I respect him, his toughness, but he doesn't play well when he's hurt. So I'm going to fade that one. All right, Browns, Rams.
Quick Browns, Rams, but quick dad joke before we get there. So when you bring the baby home from the hospital, they had like IVs in and like a little thing on her foot and like all this stuff where they take blood, blah, blah. And I'm not going to put a picture of my kid on social media because that's just not me. But I really wanted to do like a side-by-side of her next to Ben Roethlisberger when he's like all bandaged up and like has the boot on because it looked the exact same. She like can't move this arm. This arm's covered in bandages. Her foot's got like 6 Band-Aids on it. I was like, this is fucking hilarious.
Love that. All right, first one, Parlay Monstrosity says Browns ML keep the points. Greg, I'm nervous about this. I am terrified that the Rams. I'm a Browns investor, as we all know now. Beautiful timing right before Sean Watson is out for the season. I'm hoping they win, but I have a bad feeling. Back-to-back road games, just played in Denver. Now they play in LA. Joe Flacco is going to be the quarterback. I'm concerned that the Rams might be that might have been a get-right game for the Rams, although there's a lot of reasons why it might not be that you pointed out in the newsletter with the familiarity McVay has within the division and how he always performs well, and they just own the Cardinals. But I'll let you explain this one. I thought you had a really great comparison about how it's just kind of tough and gritty versus soft and pretty.
Yeah.
Cleveland and LA. So I'm with it. Browns with the points, probably the play for me.
Yeah, I totally think that's the same thing. I think the Browns are way, way tougher of a team. I think their defense is going to be up for this. I think the Rams are looking inflatedly high because McVay just knows the Cardinals really well and knew how to exploit it and look phenomenal. Like Joe Flacco's likely starting, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like Flacco's not going to do anything special, but he's actually going to be an upgraded quarterback. Like it's weird that listening to some stuff earlier in the week, like if DTR actually clears concussion protocol and plays, the line's going to move against the Browns. Like it's a weird situation where the backup quarterback's getting more respect than the starter just because, you know, long-term you want to stick with DTR and let him develop and get better. But short-term it's like, well, Flacco's probably better for this week. And also like the Rams they're not tough, man. You put that Browns defense in there against an offense like that. And I think Stafford's really going to struggle, to find time. And I just think this line is going to destroy the Rams offensive line. And the Bills and the Browns are able to put up enough to cover by 3, maybe win. I'm not taking a money line. I don't want to get too cute, but the fact that this just seems like a line that's too high, and also the Rams are like the Browns aren't even that contrarian here. Like people still really like the Rams for whatever reason. When the Browns are a much better team, better record, they've had dog shit play at the quarterback position all year. So yeah, I'll take it up and I'll take 3.5 on this, especially with the Browns coming off of a really ugly loss to the Broncos. I don't know. I didn't watch that game. Maybe it was a little wonky. Who knows? They had some injuries, but let's move on. I do like the Browns here a lot.
Did I misspell board review? Is that why people are saying Boar? Maybe I forgot to do
I think you said Boar, yeah.
Oh, well, that's too bad. All right. Well, I'll go correct myself. Okay. We got to finish strong here. Eagles.
We get 2 more big ones, yeah.
Eagles, Niners. Yeah, we got to be quick. I think, look, the line is what it is. It's quite telling, in my opinion. You're giving points to the Eagles, best team in the NFL record-wise. I'm sure a lot of people are probably going to take the points with them. Maybe they're a public dog. I don't know. I'm not fading the Eagles. You know how I feel about the Eagles. I'm sure everybody does at this point. If you take the Niners, it's probably what I would consider the right side. I like points in this game. If I had to bet anything, I think the Niners are going to fucking bring it, and I think the Eagles are as well. I think the Eagles want to prove to people that they're not fugazis. They got this gauntlet of a schedule that everybody's been talking about. That so far they're just checking off every box. But I do have a player prop I love, and it's going to be the don't overthink it square AJ Brown game. He's been kind of quiet these last 2 weeks. The offense has been performing as the game as it gets later in the game. So they've fought back from deficits. You can't do that with the Niners. And I think even though there's some weather potentially in this whole area and region on Sunday, I think they're going to throw it to their best player, and that's AJ Brown. I think he's going to have one of those games back to going over 125 yards and a touchdown. So I'll be playing AJ Brown over receiving yards.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I'm on a different side of the fence as you and Steak on this because you guys are Eagles guys since preseason and have some futures on them. I've been a Niners guy since preseason, so this is where we sort of clash. But to me, I might put a half unit on the Niners. Nothing crazy. Maybe a full unit and take the money line. I don't think the Eagles are frauds. You certainly can't say that. But any team is eventually going to hit a point where they start to get run down. And you had that really tough, gritty game, revenge game against the Chiefs, and then you had a fucking overtime game against the Bills that you barely pull out. They also had a massive game against the Cowboys the following week. So, I mean, huge revenge game here for the 49ers. It checks so many boxes. It's almost too obvious. But I'm gonna put a unit on the Niners and money line, just risking one unit, and that's going to be it. But I'm not super comfortable with it because every contrarian gambler in the world loves the Eagles here because his line's insane, or loves the Niners here because his line's insane.
Could be Oregon, Washington. We'll see how that goes. But
yeah.
I agree. Fat Girls, I thought what you said was brilliant. Jalen's got to have a good game. Jalen, he's MVP favorite, but in my opinion, he really, and again, as an Eagles investor and believer, he really has not looked that great. But the guy is a fucking winner. And, at the end of the day, that's what matters most. He's just a winner. But I do think we get a good game from him, and I think we get it through the air. Did we talk Pac-12 championship? Yes, we did. We touched on college conference championship games, and now we're talking NFL. Nothing else for the board, unfortunately. I apologize at a late start, and I got to get out to Queens. So it is what it is. But we'll, of course, post our plays and chat in the Discord later after I look at the board later this afternoon. Last game, we'll talk about the Chiefs and the Packers Sunday night. I've seen some Packers tickets on Twitter, and I'm not out there looking to fade anybody, and I'm not naming any names. But I think this is a little comfortable for the Packers being home dogs after beating the Lions on the road on Thanksgiving. Extra rest. Jordan Love looking good. The offense getting healthier, albeit probably still no Aaron Jones. I don't know. I still don't think that defense is very good. And I think Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs had a little bit of a wake-up call against the Raiders. They got punched in the mouth. They responded. They covered. Thankfully, it was one of our picks. I like the Chiefs.
I don't blame you. This is a no play for me. We're both holding Packers tickets.
Yeah.
This is one you just chalk up as a loss. But the tickets were dead, and they're like like you're getting a little bit of life support on them, which is kind of exciting. So I'll chalk this one up as a loss. Honestly, one thing I will probably do, and this is a bit ballsy, but I like it, is double down on the Packers to make the playoffs. I think they're starting to come together. Jordan Love looked like shit. He's still, I'm not saying he's a guy by any means, but he's a fucking young quarterback, first year as a starter. All his weapons, all his wide receivers have been injured to some degree, and they're all young guys too. So this is a team I could see coming together down the stretch, especially in the NFC. Is fucking the Seahawks have another game against the 49ers, and they have the Eagles on deck. Like, that ticket might have a little bit of life. The Vikings are starting to slip up a little bit. Maybe the Packers eke in there. So I'm probably going to lay off of it, but I do like the Packers to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Lay off of it this week, I should say. Excuse me, not lay off of it in general. Lay off of it today.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is one where the Chiefs remind people they're the Chiefs, where maybe I thought it was going to be last week against the Raiders, and it didn't look like that for the first half. Prime time, Fat Girls had another good nugget about the Patrick Mahomes wanted to be back in the MVP conversation. I think the defense steps up as well. I like the Packers team total under. Somebody mentioned that. That's all good with me. Last thing I want to ask you, and then we got to shut it down. Pete, how do you feel about Dak Prescott? I see some people saying they think he's good. They think he's ass. I think Dak is talented. I've always said I think he might just have a little bit of loser in his DNA, kind of like the Los Angeles Chargers as an organization. Dak, in my opinion, has all the talent in the world. He looks great, but he's always done it in inferior competition. And against good teams, he just does it when it's too late. They're down 17, and then in the fourth quarter, he'll get you within 4, and he'll play great, but it's already 3.5 quarters later. So I don't know. This is a big year for Dak. McCarthy, too. I don't really respect him that much, but they're doing what they need to do, but they got to win the games that matter, and they got to win in the playoffs to just kind of prove me wrong. But I wouldn't say Dak is ass.
No, he's not ass, but I do like to talk shit about him because one of our good friends is a Cowboys fan. It's just always fun to talk shit about the Cowboys.
Always.
Especially had decades of fun with it with Tony Romo. And honestly, dude, if you think about Dak, he's almost like the next generation Phillip Rivers. Like, He's always going to be there, but you never see him winning it. Like, I just don't see Dak ever doing anything in the playoffs. Maybe he'll win a wild card game. Maybe he'll win a divisional round game. That's it. Like, he'll probably get to the NFC Championship once in his career, never win a Super Bowl. Congratulations, Dak Prescott. Welcome to the Hall of Fame. Like, he's good. He's not ass, but he's not – like, I would much rather have Jalen Hurts. There's a half dozen guys out there, maybe more, I would absolutely rather have than Dak.
See, Jalen, Dak might be the better quarterback, but Jalen's just got what Dak doesn't. And he's just got –
yeah, dude, it's so fucking funny when people show this Jalen Hurts. Like, look at his stats compared to Jordan Love. It's like, well, how about show his fucking 20 rushing touchdowns? Or it's not – you know what I mean?
Yeah, show Jalen Hurts' record against teams with winning records. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
It's fucking insane. Show his record when they're down by 2 touchdowns. It's incredible. The guy just fucking wins. I like that. Composure down the stretch, right? These guys are talking out of their ass, says Beef Queef 97. Thank you, Beef Queef 97. Also, does that mean you were born in 97? I'm surprised the word queef was even around for somebody that young to know. It's a good one, though. Nobody really says it anymore.
It's a good one. It's a good one, yeah.
I'm a Chiefs fan. I don't give a fuck about Dak, but he's good. End of story. Yeah, he's good QB. He's good QB.
He's good. He's not ass, but he's not a Hall of Famer.
Would Dak win last year against the Seahawks? Probably not. Yeah, probably not. He's no Joe Flacco. Okay, I'm going to shut it down, guys. Greg, thanks for hopping on. Love having you on Fridays. W newsletter, thedegenerateweekly.com. If you guys want it, subscribe for free. It goes out every Friday. Let's stay hot in the NFL. Do we have 5 or 6 plays? Do you remember? Did we trim it to 5?
We have 6.
We have 6, and I will say Greg wanted 9. Greg is feeling it.
Not 9. I wanted probably 7 or 8. I could have got to 7 or 8. I'll probably have 7.
Yeah. Okay. GG Ice. Yes. Unfortunately, we cannot do the ice. No CBB. No NBA. Unfortunately, I just don't have the time. I apologize.
Tweet out a hockey pick though. You've been hot. I haven't been tailing you at all. Did the Wild play after they fired their coach yet, or did we miss that? Did I miss that? I missed that.
They played twice, and I hit them both times. Are you being serious?
Awesome. I'm happy for you. I'm very happy for you.
You not follow me? I retweeted it.
Bro, do you realize like I do this and then I gotta fucking watch a baby? And it's not that like watching a baby is taxing, but you don't have hands. You don't have free hands.
You got your eyes?
So what do I look at? I look at a bottle and I look at a child eating the bottle.
Listen.
Holding the phone?
You got it. Babies' diapers cost money. If you're not paying for those diapers by betting on the Wild if they fire their head coach, that's on you. Turn the notifications on, and you'd see the screenshot after the firing of the Thursday night game against the fucking Preds at plus money.
I'm very sacred with my notifications. I don't have notifications on for anything.
I don't spray the board very often on a Thursday night. I don't bet primetime very often on a Thursday night, but that was good. Needed it. Haven't had a big night like that in a while. It's been a little bit of a rut, I feel like, for me the past 2 months. You get a little bit up, you go more down. You get a little bit up, you go more down. It'd be nice to hit JT. Let's go. Thanks for the updates. All right. Appreciate all you guys. Greg, see you. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Right. Been a great week. Board review. All the sub banks have been phenomenal. Thank you so much for the support. New followers. What are we up to? 2,326 followers. Love it. Got over 300 sub banks. Fat Girls, thanks for your 10 units.
I'll give you a 10-unit sub bang. Let me know when you get to 2,500. I'll do a 10-unit sub bang.
All right. And we're almost to 15,000 followers on Twitter, too. So we're going to push. The Hunter, Beef Queef, it's good to see you in here. I don't know if you're a first-time chatter. Love all the new faces and everything.
Queef, good to see you.
I want to see if Beef Queef is Beef Queef, first-time chatter. These guys talking out of their ass. Love that. Welcome. It's good to have you in here. Have a great day. Good luck on all your bets. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you
guys.
later.
Good luck this weekend.